Okay, so welcome to this week's episode of The Path Less Chosen, the podcast showing the careers they don't teach you about in school. My name's Sol.
I'm Jamie.
And this week's guest is Conor Kenny. And Conor has had a pretty mental career. Started off as a stuntman and an acrobat in stuff like House of Dragons. Had a bit of a career in e-commerce and then is now in YouTube talking about cryptocurrency and also dabbles in a bit of real estate in the Dubai market. So, pretty path less chosen career with a few bits even missed out of that, Jamie. I know as a man who's heavily involved in the crypto career, this is something that's pretty interesting to you, but more generally looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. I wouldn't say heavily involved, but definitely something that's a big interest point for me. We can't really do justice to summarizing his career path, to be honest, from stuntman to Australia to Dubai to cryptocurrency and almost 200,000 followers on YouTube. I mean, it's a bit insane, so I'm not even going to try and do justice to that. I think it's probably best just to let him give us a bit of a walkthrough as to the career he's doing. And hopefully for anyone who has interest in any of these areas, when they're listening to it, they might get a snippet of information as to how they might be able to do some kind of similar life path to him, if that's even possible. I think we may as well just get him on and let him do the talking on this one.
Sounds good. Let's get him on. Thank you very much, Conor, for coming on. Very appreciative of it. Do you want to just give us a brief overview of what you're up to right now?
Somehow right now I seem to be a cryptocurrency investor slash influencer. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but things are good at the moment. The market's a little bit shaky. We live and learn. But yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah, I mean, as a top line summary, it sounds pretty exciting, but I guess there's a lot more to it than that. So let's go back probably quite a few years. I know that your story starts as a stuntman, right? So let's maybe go back to then and give us a little bit of a pathway from then until how you've got to where you are now, living in Dubai as a YouTube crypto influencer.
Yeah. I'm like 22. I've gone to uni. I've told my dad, listen, I'm going to be a stuntman. And he's like, don't be ridiculous, mate. Go to uni. So I went to uni, hated it. Every second of it, I hated it, but I needed to get through it. I did a placement for, because I was doing, what was I doing? Multimedia design technology. So the back end and the front end of websites and basically the exact thing that you can't learn from a university course because the second you learn it, it's outdated. Like nothing I learned meant anything the following year. It was a complete waste of time. The only thing I got out of it was like friendship. But we can argue till we're blue in the face if that was worth it. But I during that I did a placement at Burberry, which was my insight into how much I hate the 9-to-5. So I did research development for Burberry, which was, I mean, the company was amazing. I couldn't have had a better manager. I couldn't have had a better opportunity. They let me work from home on a Thursday. It was amazing. But someone telling me what to do was not the thing that I wanted to do. I absolutely hated it. So I resigned 4 months into it. And then I had 6 months or so without anything to do because obviously I did a placement year, right? So you take a year out of university. So I applied for a bunch of jobs and I actually ended up going to Singapore to be an acrobat. So behind the scenes, I told my dad I wanted to be a stuntman, all this stuff. He told me, you're an idiot, go to uni. But I was already training, right? I was doing free running and that. And I ended up going to Singapore, my first real long contract. So it was a year-long contract. And I did a show out there as an acrobat, and it was absolutely incredible. And then I came back to London and went back to university, and I had to finish university after that experience, which was horrible. And so I slogged it. I made it through the last year. I used basically I knew now how to game the system because I've been in the real world a little bit now for 2 years in total. So I was figuring out how to do uni, but without really doing it. We won't go into too much of that because I don't want to get in trouble. But we got through uni, right? And then I took a job just after I finished. We trained to be a stunt register in the UK. That's a huge story. It takes ages to go through, but you got to get 5 different disciplines: scuba diving, high diving, gymnastics, trampolining, and kickboxing. You got to get high level in all of those. So it takes absolutely forever to do it. And it's even harder now if there's any stuntmen or people who want to be stuntmen. It's even harder now. But I got on the register. I started doing it for about 6 months, and being a stuntman in the UK is awesome. You get amazing opportunities. I've done things like Game of Thrones, House of Dragons, a few different films, doubling and stuff. But it's a very different life to the life of a traveling acrobat. Going to a job and being on a job for, 6 months to a year, getting to know your cast, doing the same show every day. It's like, it's easier, it's more exciting. Like I've always tried to explain to people that being a stuntman is like you get all of the glory, but not as much of the actual fun of doing it. Whereas being an acrobat in a live show, you get all of the fun, but none of the glory. No one cares. You know what I mean? Oh, you did a random show in Singapore. No one cares. But oh, you were in House of Dragon. Like that's awesome, right? But actually, it was really boring doing it. So I wanted to do one more year of live performing. So I went to Dubai, and that 1 year turned into almost 5 years. And I was like, oh God, I really should go back and be a stuntman because that's like the career path that I really want to do. Also, it's much better paid, way better paid. So I've got to go back and do that. But before I do, this is 2019. I'm going to quit. I've made my savings goal while I was an acrobat. And I was like, let me just also try and do something on the side. Because being a stuntman is you wait by the phone, someone calls you, they say, hey, you got a job. But apart from that, you might just be sitting around for months doing nothing, right? So I'm like, I need to figure out a way to make money. Let me go online, found loads of different options, how to make money online, all of these different options. The one that resonated with me was drop shipping. I started doing that. I then made about $1,000. It was a 6-month period. I was losing money. And then I made about $1,000 a month. And then at the same time, I resigned from my job. And then at the same time, COVID happened. So I was going back to England, but I went to visit my girlfriend's family in Australia. And that ended up being 9 months. But that was the best 9 months ever I could ever have asked for, ever imagined. I couldn't, there was terrible things happening in the world, but for me personally, on a completely selfish level, it was absolutely the best thing that could have ever happened because it completely derailed my life, but it gave me the opportunity to focus on a new thing in life, which was online, right? And I was just going to do anything. I was going to do anything to make that work because there's no chance that I'm going to be stuck in a situation like this and it happens again and I have no way of making money, right? If I hadn't had my savings, I would have been totally screwed. So I was like, I've got to do this. So I started doing e-com full time. I met some random people that lived in Melbourne and you weren't actually allowed to even go out of your little suburb in Melbourne, but we met up, broke the law, learned from each other. And before I even knew it, I was doing thousands and thousands of dollars in ad spend a day. It was absolutely insane. We were printing, for lack of a better term, we were printing money. The product, we each found a product and it was just wild. I'd just gone from making a couple of $1,000s a month to much more than that. I don't know how much you guys want to talk about numbers, but much more than that. I was like, holy shit, right? This is just I didn't even realize that people could make this. To put it into perspective, I was making $3,000 a month as an acrobat, but completely untaxed, which is more like £3,000, but untaxed. So it's more like £5,000 in the UK, right? Plus they gave us accommodation, plus they gave us food. So we're talking 6-7 grand a month. So it was incredible, right? And the no tax aspect means you can save an obscene amount of money. But then I went from this thing where I got paid by someone. Now I've just made this random thing up on the internet. And on a good day, I could make 1, 2, 3, 4,000 pounds in a day. On a bad day, it goes to zero. You lose money. It ebbs and flows, right? It's absolutely a roller coaster. And then, of course, in the world of drop shipping, it's very short time frames. Unless you find something you can brand yourself, it's a very short shelf life, I had a product that happened to be really good at the time. It lasted, I think, about 3 months and then completely dead. So I printed all this money and then dead. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? So I went back to the drawing board. I'm trying out different products. I also now have actually doubled my savings. So I spent 10 years of my life from 19 to 29 working as an acrobat, going to university, training to be a stuntman, being an extra. That's another thing, as a stuntman, you need to be an extra. So all of these things, I was saving money, right? The biggest mistake of my entire life was not investing that money. So if anyone is 19 years old, 17, any age, right, that's relatively young and you're making money, do not save that money, right? Invest it into, at very minimum, the S&P 500, right? That's the least risk you can find. And you may lose money in the next 5 years because the market might absolutely tank, but in 40 years, you're going to make money. And in 10 years, if I had have been investing that money, right, I saved 100 grand in 10 years, on average 10 grand a month, 10 grand a year. But if I had have been investing that, I would have made, way more, probably be at about 300K at that point, just because of how insane the market was over COVID, right? Anyway, I digress. I won't talk too much about that right now. Where was I? Yeah, we're trying to figure out what to do, right? So the product's dead. I've made a bunch of money. And I'm like, what do I do now? All right, I'm going to find a new product, but I'm also just going to do YouTube as well. I've always wanted to do YouTube because that seems like an awesome thing to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I made my channel when you guys probably aren't even old enough to know it happened, but Google bought YouTube, right? There used to be a platform called Google Videos, and Google bought YouTube. So if you look on my channel, right, my channel's like 16 or 17 years old, right? Because I've never deleted the channel. I always just segued into the new thing I was doing in life. And this time round, it was going to be money, like how to make money, what to do with the money when you make it. That was the idea, right? So before I did free running, I did travel vlogs, whatever, you name it, I've tried it. It didn't work, right? 16 years of trying. Now I'm going to try this. And so I'm building these stores. And now my thing was I'm just going to make some videos every now and then. I've like one of the things I was doing in e-commerce was I was buying Instagram pages. And then if maybe it was about cars, maybe it was about animals. If it was about dogs, for example, I'd then find a product that I could sell using that page, right? And then I would build the page. I would then sell a product on it. If it worked, keep it. If it didn't work, I would then flip the page, right? I'd build it and then flip it. So I made a video about that. It's actually one of my most viewed videos. And then that was right around the time that TikTok took off. And so I started making videos on how to grow on TikTok because I managed to figure out that if I just made up stupid videos about random stuff, I could just blow up on TikTok. So it was the time where you could blow up on TikTok. So I have a TikTok channel that has 450,000 subscribers. I've never made 1 penny from it, but somehow I managed to crack the code of how to grow then. I'm not sure if it works now, but how to grow then. So I was like, well, I'll just make videos about this. So those videos got loads of views, right? And I was like, oh, this is starting to work. But I had a problem. The e-commerce was no longer making me any money. It wasn't making me enough money for me to just be like, it's fine, I'll just chill. I've got enough money. Then I had to make a decision. So I was like, well, I seem to be pretty good at making this social media thing work. I've always wanted to be a YouTuber. Let me just make a video every day for the next year, and then we'll come back to this if it doesn't work, right? So I was like, I'll just make a video every day. So I started making a video about whatever I could think of every day. I bought a pair of Apple headphones completely by mistake, and I got scammed, right? And they were fake. So instead of being a little whingy crybaby, I just made a video about it. And I was like comparing fake Apple headphones to the real ones. Right, it got barely any views, but like that's the sort of mindset I believe you need to be in order to make this work, right? You don't whinge at the situations that happen. You're like, how can I make this benefit me? Anything that happens, I need to make it benefit me, right? So I started doing this, and then it just so happens that earlier on in the story that I completely missed out was that we were investing into Bitcoin and crypto during being an acrobat, right? I segued over that entirely, but that's probably the story when we talk about the crypto part of my life. But we were investing back then. And it just so happens that now it's been about 2 years since the crash, right? There was a pump in 2017, 2018. And now just so happens I have a bunch of money. I'm doing something on YouTube. I already hold crypto, and I have been buying it very slowly over this time, right? So I was like, well, I'll just start talking about my investments. I was buying Tesla with my mate, Jake. Me and him absolutely smashed it. We bought Tesla and we bought Bitcoin. And I'm not saying we smashed it because at the time I had any idea what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm no more intelligent than anybody else ever. All I did was have time and dedicate that time to making it work, right? It's like we've discussed this, Sol. It's like if you just do it, whatever it is, you'll figure out something that works, right? The reason why so many people try and it doesn't work is because they just don't do it. It's as simple as that, right? I started off thinking I'm going to do e-commerce. That segued into buying Instagram pages, which segued into making a video about that Instagram page, which segued into, hold on, I kind of enjoy YouTube. Let me just give myself a challenge. And then that segued into me making crypto YouTube videos, which then blew up, right? So it's like 5 different things that led me to what I am now. But like, if I had have stuck with ecom, I never would have been here. So it's like, you just got to do, like, you got to try your hardest and just keep going. Anyone can do it. But my point is, we absolutely smashed it on Tesla, but I'm not trying to say like I'm a genius, like I'm some kind of investment genius. No, we just happened to be online at the right time, watch the right videos where they were talking about Tesla and talking about Bitcoin. So I was doing it. We made money. There's a video on my channel where I show my portfolio. It's worth $8,000. and I bought Bitcoin that day. And then the next day, Bitcoin crashed a bit like today. It crashed like 50%. I don't know if you guys were paying attention to the COVID crash, but COVID dropped Bitcoin, dropped Tesla, dropped the whole market. It was absolutely horrendous, right? It was the scariest day of my life. I've just put all this money into Bitcoin and now it's halved. And I was like, do you know what? I'm actually just going to do what all of these idiots online say, and I'm just going to actually buy the dip. Like, maybe they're onto something. Like, maybe I should just buy it. Like, I've committed, I have the money, let me just buy it. So I bought, again, the same amount that I bought just before it crashed. And that's the best trade I've ever done, right? Bitcoin was $3,000 or something. And then I just made videos about it. I just made videos about that. This is what I'm doing. This is my journey. This is what happened today. Bitcoin crashed today. And then someone messaged me. And they were like, hey, man, we made like a little community about it where we were all talking. And he's like, hey, man, have you heard about this coin, this coin, this coin? It was 3 coins, right? And I went online and I found a video about how to buy this one coin. And it had loads of views. And I was like, what the hell is going on? I went on, it'd been live for 2 days. And I watched all of these YouTubers, right? These crypto YouTubers. And they were like talking about how Bitcoin, crypto, this coin just goes up. Right? And they very obviously had no idea what they were talking about, right? And I'm sitting there going, I've already been through one of these crashes, right? I've already been through this. Back in 2017, we were buying Bitcoin, we were buying Ethereum, we bought some stuff, it went all the way up. I made a boatload of money of what I thought was money then, right? And then I lost it all. I lost every penny of it. It went lower than the money that I put in. So I'm watching these guys talking, and I'm like, wait, hold on a minute. They all think that crypto just goes up forever. So why don't I just make videos about this coin and the market in general and explain the actual situation of crypto? It goes up, but we need to get the hell out before everyone else. Because it's player versus player, right? You know, when you sell crypto, I'm selling it to someone. Someone else is buying it. So like these people who are making these videos who think that crypto just goes up forever, they just have no idea. They're clearly going to lose, right? So I'm just going to make the same videos, but I'm just going to tell everyone to sell, to take profits on the way up. So I bought the coin and I'm like, guys, I've bought this. Absolutely crazy. My channel was 5,000 subscribers at the time, right? So it's not like I'm buying it and I'm pumping it, even though people would argue that I did that from retrospect, right? They don't realize how small I was at the time. And don't get me wrong, this wasn't the only one. I'm buying a few different things. I'm making videos about a few different things. And it went absolutely nuts. Like the most insane thing I've ever seen, right? To put it into perspective, my first round in crypto, I put in $3,500 and I made, I think about $75,000 from that investment in 2017. And then that went to zero, right? That went to nothing. This time round, I put in $500. So I put in $3,000 in 2017, right, over time. This time round, I put $500 into this coin. And I was like, what my plan is here is I'm going to turn this into an apartment in Dubai, right? That's what I'm going to do. And in order to buy an apartment in Dubai, what do you have to do? You have to sell it. So every day, guys, I'm buying this, but I'm going to sell it. Guys, this is what's happened today. I will be selling it. Don't be an idiot, take profits. And then there's a whole joke between me and my friends now about taking profits because I never stopped talking about it, right? That $500 turned into $160,000 from one investment. And then I sold, I think, $130,000 of it. And I bought an apartment in Dubai. So I did all of those things. But in that journey, it's about 3-4 months, it absolutely exploded the channel because people were searching for this coin. They were searching for crypto news. And basically, I built it using these different coins at the time. And then I segued the channel into overall market news. And then we rode the wave and the crypto market went absolutely insane. And then it crashed, right? But all the while during that first run, I spoke about taking profits. Like I built the whole idea. My catchphrase on the channel was, I'm just a guy sitting in a room, right? So like, don't fucking listen to me. Like if you can tune in and watch my videos and that's great. And I'm going to tell you what's happening in the news. I'll tell you today that we're at $60,000. This is what I was expecting, but we could drop way lower. And if it drops way lower, what am I going to do? I'm just going to buy more, right? But it might drop lower and I might lose all my money. So like, if you're going to come whinge at me because the market went down, then you shouldn't be here. Piss off, right? I don't want you to watch my videos. That's not what I'm here for. But anyway, the market crashed and a lot of people dropped off. I just continued to make a video. That deal I made with myself to make a video every day is still live. The deal is still live with myself. I still make a video every single day. It's halfway through 2024. I made that deal in 2021. That was New Year's 21. So it's almost, 3 years of doing that every day. And that's pretty much the long and the short of it. Yeah, that's the journey, I think.
Wow.
Honestly, my head is spinning, but I could listen to that all day. Like it's the most insane story, an unbelievable story. So yeah, thank you for sharing. I think it's really important for us, obviously, to give some context to the exact journey you've been on. And I think probably there were so many points we could delve into there. One of the interesting things that I picked up on, I think is really interesting, hopefully for people listening to this, is that you've not done it because you're incredibly intelligent. You know, it wasn't that you're a genius. You've done it purely because you've kept yourself so open to all these opportunities. And I think that's more than a mindset kind of thing that people listening are probably going to be thinking, let's keep everything broad. So if that's the mindset, I'm also interested to know what's the motivation side of things. I guess being a stuntman and creating content, that gives the impression maybe more passion driven, but everything else seems to be more financially driven. So I'm just keen to know, over the last however many years it's been since starting out as a stuntman, what is it that's driven you from there?
I would say the interesting thing is I talk about this a lot with my friends, and I actually think I was more financially driven when I didn't have as much money, because it's much easier to make small amounts of money. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's much easier to increase from £3,000 a month to £5,000 a month and feel really good about yourself. Do you know what I mean? But then when you get to a scale in which it's really hard to actually one up yourself, especially when you're in crypto and the market is like, so you're constantly like nothing, essentially nothing I do, not to say that I'm down on myself. I very much try and practice like gratitude and everything, but almost nothing can beat certain things. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I try and actually remove myself from having financial goals, like being driven by the finances anymore, because if I focus so much on the finances, you end up just beating yourself up, because like there's things that happen in this market that are like absolutely nuts. And especially because in the way that I dedicated my that year, right, the daily videos, I dive all the way into that. But that was focused on, learning how to do YouTube. So we've talked about this. Like, it's hard, right? It's hard work. Like, you watch the video and you're like, oh, he just took 7 minutes and just talked crap for 7 minutes. Like, that's easy. It used to take me 9 hours to make that one video a day. Now I really can turn on the camera and make a video in 7 minutes because I'm so used to it, right? I'm so used to talking to the camera. I'm so used to like, oh, this is what I think of the market today. I can just blah, 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 blah for 7 minutes, right? Or 8 minutes or whatever it is. So when I first started, that's what it was all about. I wanted to tell you, like, the reason why the finances is it's so, especially in crypto, or I think only in crypto, you have such an outsized opportunity to make an absolutely obscene amount of money that if you do just focus on the money, it's gonna destroy you, right? You're gonna have a loss, and that loss is gonna destroy you mentally. It might not destroy you financially, or it might not destroy you, however, but it's gonna destroy you if that's what you're focusing on. And I'll give you a story which has just happened, right? I made a video about it like last week, and this is the worst I've ever felt. And I'll still be fine, and I still got up and continued. I still made the video that day, but there was, I don't know if you guys have paid attention to this at all, but the listeners, they might have noticed that just before this pullback, we had a meme season, and there was celebrities, right, making coins. And so because I'm here every single day, this is where if I'm in this room, I'm on the computer. If I'm in Bali with Sol, I'm on my phone. I'm sure you notice, Sol, I have my phone in my hand all the time. You need to be glued to what's happening all the time, right? And I saw someone tweet. And who was it? It was Andrew Tait, right? I don't care about your opinions of Andrew Tate. It doesn't make no difference to me. I think he's an incredible marketer. I think he's a polarizing guy, and he markets because of that. So I pay attention to him, right? Because I want to learn the marketing. I don't care about the opinions. I'm not here to argue with anyone about the opinions, but you have to pay attention to anyone. Like, he's probably top 10 marketer in the world, right? That the group that he has, it's like 10 million, 20, 30 million a month because of the marketing behind it. So you got to understand that you can learn. If you don't agree with someone, you can still learn from what they're doing, right? Anyway, so I have my notifications turned on for him because I want to learn. Every time he tweets, I'm like, how can I like use the structure? I'm not a polarizing guy. I don't do polarizing content, but how can I use it to maybe build one of my businesses or whatever? Anyway, so I see him tweet. He tweets something quite vulgar. I won't repeat it. And I go and search what he said on a cryptocurrency scanning device, right? A platform. It's called Dex Screener. And boom, this crypto pops up. And I'm like, wonder is he talking about a crypto? Because I don't think he's talking about a crypto, but he could. It's here. And I was like, okay, I'll just put a little bit of Solana into it, right? 10 Solana, which is $1,600. It's not a laughing, it's like not a lot of money, but it's not a ton of money, right? It's enough that I can afford to lose, right? So I put it in, and then right at that moment, I got liquidated from a trade that I was doing. So I wasn't paying attention. But I traded it. I did the buy. I did all of the accepting, everything, right? But then my other trade got liquidated. So I went over there, and I'm like stressed, like, oh, what's going on with this trade, blah, blah. And I went to bed, because I'm like, that's how I deal with, like, I'm just like, you just need to give it time, right? You never make the right decision if you're stressed in that moment. So I was like, I'll just go to bed. Woke up. I saw this coin. I saw everyone talking about it. I saw there was a video from one of the biggest YouTubers talking about the name of the coin, right? And I'm like, holy shit, is that the one that I bought? And I went and I checked and I was like, oh my God, it's the one that I bought. And I was like, I've just turned like $1,000 into 80 grand. This is what I think, bearing in mind, right? Then I go and I look and I'm like, my God. But that trade right then, when I checked, $650,000. From $1,600. So that is the opportunity that you have if you're paying attention to this market, right? Anyway, long story short, I checked. It wasn't in my wallet. I went on the blockchain explorer. The transaction didn't go through, guys. I confirmed the transaction and it failed. Right? It failed. I went through the entire steps and the transaction failed. Imagine, I went from thinking I made 80 grand to 650,000 to zero. Like, I've done trades, right? Big trades, but they're trades that I've decided to do. This was like winning the lottery. This was like a lottery win. This is a once in a lifetime, once in a season event that happened. And it's just taken from me. My point is, like, you just got to roll with the punches, right? This is the reason why I don't base my desire, my drive on money anymore. It's not about, oh, that's going to make me X amount. That's going to make me this. Because if I did that last week, 2 weeks ago would have destroyed me, right? I would have been like, that significantly knocks me off what could have been my steps to my goal, right? Maybe that was my goal, maybe it's on the way, but that significantly deters me from that. And then if I let that will then make me feel I've done something wrong, all of this stuff. So it's not the environment to be focusing on monetary goals. Now, we have like our overarching monetary goals, but the day-to-day is no longer based on, I'm no longer driven by the money. I'm more driven just by the excitement of being in the whirlwind that is crypto and that is YouTube, you know?
Mm. And is there like your personal goals financially? I saw you mention, and I've spoken to you about like basically financial freedom effectively being like an overarching lifestyle, lifetime goal for you.
Yeah, definitely. So the main goal was always to make the salary that I used to make completely passively. That was the goal of the last bull run, right? My plan for that, I hinted at it on the trade which started the channel, but to buy property and then use that property to pay X amount, right? So the X amount for me would be about £5,000. And so in the last bull run, all of the things that I invested into, my main goal was to buy the property that's gonna generate that. So what I did was I just sold. I sold as much as I needed, and I bought a bunch of properties in Dubai. And yeah, I actually started a business around that. I think you know about it, but to stay on the financial freedom was the goal. I bought the properties. The properties they're in the process of being paid off, but for the most part, the system I created pays itself off. Some of them are ready, some of them are off plan. So you can buy stuff in Dubai that's pre-built, right? It's off plan, and you pay monthly for them. So basically, I bought some units in cash. Those units then pay me cash for the rental. That rental cash goes straight into paying off the other units. So it's a little system. The loop will be closed in about 2026. And then I am financially free now. I made myself financially free, unless Dubai has a problem, which I'm also open. I'm used to I'm used to crazy volatility in the market. So I stay diversified. But as long as Dubai continues in this trajectory that I think it will, I created financial freedom in the last bull run. So I can now do anything I want. I never have to work again. And that was the goal. So yeah.
Yeah, I think most people listening will probably have a bit of a sense of jealousy on that. Like listening to the path you've been on and where you are now, they'll be like, wow, that's where I want to get to. And I think the whole purpose of this podcast is so that we can speak to people who are doing really cool things. So if you're able to, what advice would you give, given all of those experiences you've had in the past few years? Would you recommend that people start looking into getting into crypto, getting into that lifestyle over in Dubai, leaving England? What would your advice be so that someone listening could end up where you are in 8 years' time?
First of all, I have a second channel. It's called Conor Overseas, and I basically answer that because I'm fully in belief that like get out of the UK. There's just like I'm not here to tell you to leave, but you're I can't remember the term, but you're capped, right? It's like if I was doing what I was doing in the UK, I would move at probably 90% slower, right? The difference between zero tax and I think it's 25% tax, and in 20 trades, right? So it's like the rate in which you can move if you're not slowed down by massive income tax. Now, I'm not actually against tax. Like I don't think that it's unfair to pay towards the society that you live in. I think that's reasonable. But to expect someone who is doing relatively well, we're not talking like, these big guys, but relatively well, to then give half of their money to a government that really doesn't look out for us. Why would I do that when I have the choice to move to somewhere like Dubai, which everyone can argue with me until they're blue in the face about all the bad stuff about Dubai, but it's amazing. It's a great place to live, and I don't pay any tax. So I can move so fast. I can have an amazing quality of life. It's not expensive here. My healthcare is amazing, and I can do all of that all the while living in a place that has sun all year round. It does get a bit hot, but you're surrounded by people who are on the same path as you. And I highly suggest anyone who has the ability to, I know it doesn't apply to everyone. I know there's people with families, there's people with whatever it is, your reasoning behind. But if you're in a situation like I was, where, I was young, I had an opportunity and I saw it and I took it. And whether that's Dubai, whether it's somewhere like Bali, whether it's somewhere like Puerto Rico, if you're American, you can reduce your taxes by moving there. I highly suggest it, especially before you have a family, because you can set yourself up, right? You can set yourself up for life by taking those 10 years, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 20 to 40, whatever it is. You can set yourself up for life, and you can do it a lot faster if you're not held back by massive tax.
Fascinating. I already want to book my plane ticket, to be honest. The interesting you say about like the whole, obviously there's location as well, but you obviously benefited from the online space and making content. Just give us a bit of like an insight into how that world actually works and how easy it is to actually build an audience within that world.
I think the number one, and I'm pretty sure we spoke about this in depth, Sol, the number one thing that anyone can do, 15 to 40 years old. I don't have any experience being older than 40. I'm 33, so I feel like I can have a good experience on, 10 or 20 to 40 years old. Anyone in this age bracket, the number one thing you can do is build a social media presence. The one thing that I learned in saying that is you don't want a social media presence that's not anything that you care about or anything that you can figure out how to make money in, right? I have that TikTok account that taught me, 500,000, 450,000 followers. I didn't make a penny because it wasn't about something I cared about. It wasn't in a niche that mattered. Very hard to make any money from it, right? But having a social media presence is the best thing I could suggest for anyone. And the thing is, you can do it doing anything, right? There's going to be 1 million people who have the same mindset as you about X, right? So you might think, no one cares about this random shit that I do that's completely irrelevant. There's probably 1 million people, right? There's 7 billion people. There's probably 1 million people that do care. And if you can get like a tiny fraction of that, if you can get 10,000, 100,000 of those people, that's a lot of money that can be made in the form of a brand you can create, brand partnerships that work with you, affiliates, all of that. And then once you have that, you can basically do anything from there. You have your social media platform, right? And then from there, you figure out, oh, this is something that we like. I'll build an app that helps us. I'll build a bakery for the bakers that we like, and they like this specific thing. And now I can promote that bakery for free because I got 100,000 people who like this very niche croissant. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's very much the best thing. The easiest place to grow is TikTok, but in caveat to that, that's the lowest ROI. So you can make a lot of money, but The caveat is it's the lowest ROI. The hardest place to grow is YouTube, but the caveat to that is that's the highest ROI. And when I say ROI, I mean like in comparison to the amount of people you have following you, right? You can make more money on YouTube. But now TikTok has TikTok Shop. And like, I'll tell you a story about a guy that I have here, one of my best friends. He does, what would I say? Like, he builds stuff with his hands, right? We met on the shows. He builds the sets, he builds the costumes, all of that stuff. And I want him to start his own TikTok, YouTube, all of that. And all I think he should do is follow the process, right? This is a thing that I made, guys. This is how you make it. And then just make it, right? And just do that every day. And you see people's questions, you then go, okay, I'll answer that question with a video. So I'll make a video about, oh, how did you do that button? Or that's cool, what material did you use? Then I'll make a video about the material that I used. I'll make a video about the seam that I did. And you just show people the journey, right? Then you start to get loyal people there. And then you can say, there's a link in my bio and I'll build you anything you want. Or I have 100 of these, they're unique. I'll put my logo on it and it will say, one of one, and then all the way up to 100, and there's only 100 and you can buy them for $50. And it's like, you can slowly start to make money like that until you supplement enough income that you quit your job. And then, all right, I've got 1,000 guys that follow me now. I make $1,000 a month. I can put everything I have into making this work, right? I'm going to do it on YouTube. I'm going to do it on TikTok. I'm going to do everything I can to make this work. It will work. I'm adamant that if you actually put everything you have into making it work, and everything you have, it does sadly include most likely leaving your job and being 100%, right? Do you know what I mean? Because like you doing 100%, but also working a 9 to 5. And I also understand that it isn't normal, or it's not achievable from a lot of people who are struggling right now. And I totally understand that. And I don't want this to come across like I'm one of those guys. Like I said, I don't like to be polarizing. I don't like to come across like I'm like, it's so easy, anyone can do it. Like, I get it. It's extremely hard to even be in the situation that you can do it. But I'm talking to the people who are in that situation. You're in the position, you have the opportunity, you're young, you have a little bit of skill. I only had a little bit of skill, right? I'm not that skilled. But now I'm better at trading crypto or being in the right place at the right time that I could have the opportunity to not make $600,000, right? I'm just here all the time, and it was because of the time that I put into it, right? So with that out of the way, build yourself up a social media channel. You can do it with basically anything. My suggestion is to make it financial related. I know from firsthand experience, that's where there's a lot of money to be made. And that's what I would suggest. Doesn't need to be crypto, although crypto, there is a lot of money to be made, but it can be stocks, it can be trading, it can be any of those things, right? Property. I also, like I said, I have that Conor overseas, and that is property in Bali and Dubai. And there's a lot of things, and there's a lot of spaces that need real information, right? So
I wish we could put some kind of stat to how many people listen to this, and as soon as they finish, they just get off the sofa and decide like, right, I'm going to try to do something today. I wish we could put a stat on that, because just the way you speak about it, is incredibly motivating. So maybe just before they do that, hopefully after hearing this, maybe we can look at the other side of things. Is there like a few words of warning you would give people, whether they're going down the social media content creation route or the financial route, given some of the mental turbulence I imagine you've been through? Is there a few bits of warning that you should give advice to someone before they go and do something straight off the back of this?
Yeah, don't expect it to work, right? Expect it to fail and try your absolute hardest. But don't be afraid to caveat. Don't be afraid to take the fork in the road. I've just spent a year doing this, but this came up. I spent a year doing the e-com, and yes, I did make money, but I had that fork in the road where the adpocalypse happened, and I needed to make a decision. Am I going to take this? Am I going to learn and change the way that I've been doing it and learn this, or am I going to take a different route? And I took the route that I made zero money. My girlfriend was paying for the rent. And I was just like, I'm just going to do this. This is just what we're going to do. We're going to do this as hard as we can. And so with that said, if you do listen to what I've been saying, and, I've made it seem like it's easy, or I made it sound like it's going to work, it will work, but it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. Maybe if there's 1,000 people who act on what I'm saying right now, one of you, it will happen overnight, right? Because you can get lucky. But then the other side of that is when you get lucky, you have no idea what to do with it. That's why most people who win the lottery end up broke again like 2-3 years later, because you got no idea what to do with it, right? Expect it to be really, really hard. Expect it to take a long time. Like I don't like, my life looks great on social media, and don't get me wrong, it is bloody great, but I work every day, right? Every single day. I've been with my girlfriend now 5 years. She knows that when I'm on holiday, right, I'm working still. There's not a single day that I don't work. Like I make that video every day. I answer emails every day. I have deals that I have to make every day. I've started 2 relatively successful companies on the back of these social media journeys, and I have to work on them every day, else they won't, be those cash cows I want them to be. So it's going to be hard. Expect it to be hard.
Yeah, I think that's such an important message, because I guess like you even brought up your Instagram there, and if you maybe visit your YouTube channel, you'll see like the kind of clickbaity-esque titles, and so it's just really important for people to understand how ridiculously hard you work.
I appreciate it. On that note, it's a very interesting topic, because it being a YouTuber, being an influencer, you get to see the other side of like the human psyche, right? And I always used to be mad and angry at titles that, they're not quite, it's a little bit clickbaity. It's a little bit, they are talking about that, but that's not really, do you know what I mean? And I'm like, why are these guys do, like, Conor, like, talking to myself as someone who watches my videos, like, Conor, I like the way you talk about the market. I just want you to make the title today's market update, have your face like, hey, it's today's market update. Guys, I wish I could do that, all right? YouTube is a business. And like any business, you must do what works, right? What works is me being like absolutely shocked at what's happening and using clickbait. I don't like to say clickbait because I always try and make the video. If I say this coin could turn 1,000 into 100,000 or 1,000 into 650,000, in that video, I will be talking about the fact that I just did that, or I almost did it, right? So it's not a lie, but it's there, right? But the only way I'm going to get people to click on the video is to use that. Because if I said Conor's market update, the algorithm won't push it. No one will click on it. No one will watch it. So it's just how it works, right? And these are the kind of things that you only learn from the other side, right? So I think, like I said earlier, you want to take everything as a learning opportunity, right? So that was my learning opportunity. And I try not to be annoyed at the comments who say that, because I understand that you guys don't get it, right? I understand that you want better from me. Like, and I get that, because it's like a lot of the comments are horrible and nasty, and people like to be horrible on the internet. But some of those comments are actually people who just appreciate my content and are like, oh, I want you to, just do better, but they don't understand the back end. So again, to those people and to anyone who's thinking about starting all these things, you have to be willing to learn and go with what works in the market, right? Because that's just how it is.
So interesting. I mean, like, I almost feel like there's so many more questions, but we'd love to really know what's the plan for the next 5-10 years? Do you reckon a massive pivot? You're gonna stay in crypto, stay in YouTube? Any ideas?
Build companies that make money, revenue generators. And I would say my goal would be not to make a YouTube video every day. However, I like it. So I don't do this I do it as it is my job, but it's no problem. When like you were saying, the market's crashed today. I made a video about the market crashing on the way back to from gym because, I like it. It's what I do. So the YouTube channel, I really don't know. I will just take every day as it comes. If there's a thing where YouTube bans crypto content, cool, I'll just have to deal with it. I'll have to caveat. I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do there. And then, build companies on the back end. If anyone wants to move to Dubai, I have a company that will connect you to the people that you need. I also have an influencer marketing agency that we connect companies to other crypto YouTubers. So it's like a niche marketing agency. And again, those are just the examples of things that happen when I'd have no idea that I was going to make a company that helped people move to Dubai or, buy property, but that sort of thing just happens. And I'll just continue to build everything as much as I can. And I'll just see where it ends up, because the journey just continues to change. And I don't want to put any, that's same thing with the monetary goals. It's the same thing of where I might end up. I don't want to put any, I don't want to I don't want to box myself in. This is what is going to happen. I'll just go with the flow and see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's everything you've said throughout. I mean, if you didn't go in with it with that attitude, you wouldn't have gone from being a stuntman to where you are now. So, I mean, why change it for the next 10 years, right? So I think that's an amazing message to finish on. And yeah, like Sol said, we could be here all day listening to you chat. So to go on to our final question then, that we ask everyone, I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on them. If you were to go back to the time where maybe you started off as the stuntman, but decided you wanted to replace that salary with something else, perhaps, or whatever timescale you think's best. Going back to then, we just want to know one thing that you would do the same, one thing you would do differently, and then one thing you tell yourself to motivate yourself.
The same is the caveat. So I couldn't. Maybe my most happy thing, my most proud thing is trying. Right when I was backstage in the shows, and funny story, very short. A friend of mine from university, actually, maybe this is the whole reason why I went to university, to meet this guy, right? So everything happens for a reason and all of that. But this guy that wasn't really my friend, he was an acquaintance. Just not to go into it too much, we knew each other, we were on the same course, we spoke, he then left, right? He was cool, he was a cool guy. And then one day, just like it must have been 5 years later, I was on holiday, I was in Thailand, I was in the acrobat show, and it must have been the middle of the night, so he was probably drunk, whatever he was doing, right? He messages me and he starts talking to me about this online stuff he's been doing and how he's like printing money. And I'm like, this is a bit weird, but let me just ask him, because obviously he's fucked up. So let me just ask him about what he's doing. He explained to me what he was doing. It was Amazon FBA. I'm sure some people know what that is, but he just explained to me, and that was the door that opened in my mind, because I had no idea. Wait, you can make this amount of money from the internet? And so from then, from that him messaging me on WhatsApp or on Messenger or whatever it was, that was when I was like, right, I'll just try and figure this out. So that's the best thing I did, was how to make money on the internet, on YouTube, how to make money online. And then saw YouTube, came to drop shipping, and then tried it. So just do it, just doing it. Get up and do it. Differently, like I'll have to repeat what I said. My biggest regret, and it's not a regret, but my biggest regret is not investing sooner. Like, doesn't matter if it's Bitcoin, doesn't matter if it's random meme coins or whatever. Choose something that's been around for a long time, like the S&P 500, like Bitcoin, and slowly dollar cost average into it. Just do that. Don't bother. Like, if you don't want to be on the, yeah, you can make a lot of money doing what I'm doing. I'm not going to tell you that's a lie. But if you've got a job, if you've got a family, if you're 17 and you have no idea what you want to do in life, just buy some long things that have a proven track record. Buy it slowly over time. Don't save all of your money. Save your rainy day fund. I like to have, like 3 months to a year worth of money that I could just, survive with. But anything more than that, put it into something you believe in, right? The S&P 500 and Bitcoin are the ones that I like to say, because they're the ones that I'm confident in, right? I know they can drop 50%, but I also think they're going to be higher in 10 years. So they're the ones I'm comfortable with, but do some research. It only take you let's say a week. Read some books. Read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Read how to make friends and influence people, I think it is. Read some of these types of books. Yeah, read some of those. How Rich Dad, Poor Dad, best. If you've never read any financial book, read that. It's easy, simple, and it tells you essentially everything you need to know, right? To motivate myself. Yeah, just keep going, man. It's going to work. That's why I'm so adamant on everyone doing it, and I genuinely believe that anyone can do it, because a stuntman is no financial person by any stretch of the imagination, right? We get paid to fall off high things, to get hit, to have fights, right? And yes, you can be very intelligent or not very intelligent. That's not what I'm saying about being a stuntman. It's awesome and it's paid loads of money, but it's not the same as being someone who would be considered financially savvy from the outside, right? So the reason why I think anyone can do it is because I did it, and it was just because I paid attention and I was willing to focus on that aspect. So I really think anyone can do it. You just need to dedicate yourself.
I love it, mate. You've delivered and more. Very, very appreciative of you coming on and doing that, and it's been unbelievable to hear just actually in depth about your whole story and what you've been up to, and is, I'm not gonna lie, pretty motivating. So we'll see what happens in the next few weeks for both of us for sure. But hopefully everyone listening has definitely got the same thing. And if we could get that stat of the people who get off the sofa and get going on something now, especially posting a few TikToks, I'm sure it'd be a really interesting thing. But very appreciative of your time, and
just
looking
get your
forward
phone
to
out.
seeing what happens.
Get your phone out, film yourself talking shit, and then you'll do great.
Love it.
Hey, unbelievable. Yeah, what a guy. The fact we've spoken for nearly an hour and we've not really touched more on being a stuntman is incredible, because that's a path that's chosen in itself. But the journey he's been on over 8 years or so now, and to the lifestyle he's now living in Dubai, I think it was really important that we kind of explored that with him, and everything that he shared with us there was absolutely fascinating and particularly inspiring and motivating. So I imagine lots of people listening to that would be like, right, where do I go from here? But hopefully, if anyone is still listening, then I'm sure there's some very good takeaways that hopefully we can try and do justice to what he told us. So Sol, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, ridiculous amount. I'm impressed if we get 3 here. But the first one that I think, which is like, is my one of my biggest takeaways from knowing him as a person, let alone what he's just said on this podcast, is he just spoke about showing up every single day and the power of consistency and compound interest, and whether that is to do with posting YouTube videos, financial returns, but the power of compound interest is mental. And he just said, like, he just turned around and said, I'm going to post a YouTube video once a day for a year. And that's the advice that he said to me all the time. And I've always, like, that stuck with me, that if you do something every single day for a long amount of time, the returns you're going to have are just ridiculous compared to if you do it even half of that. So consistency was ridiculous takeaway for me.
Yeah, 100%. No, he's an epitome of like the consistency mindset. And also linked to my second point, with the mindset about just like dedicating a certain amount of time to it. What was really good that he said, which I think hopefully people can find a lot more relatable, is that it wasn't down to him being ridiculously intelligent or an absolute genius. I think people have this perception that if we're talking about someone who's made money through trading and things like that, you imagine like a kind of nerdy guy in front of a screen looking at loads of charts, being a mathematician. And that's just totally not the case with him. What he's done is just go in with a mindset that he's going to dedicate enough time to things, and he's going to go in with a broad enough mindset that he's totally open to all of these opportunities, whether it's stuntman, e-commerce, property, and now cryptocurrency, and then content creation. He's just going to attack it and go for all in on that side. Doesn't matter whether he's got the sharpest brain in the room. He's just going to be willing to dedicate enough time to it. And I think that hopefully is a message that rings true of everyone, being like, it doesn't matter how clever you are now, but if you just give it enough time, hopefully you can get there one day as well.
100%. And it's almost, I always find it like embarrassing to like even listen to people who are very intelligent, who don't have the same freedom as him, don't have the same life satisfaction, health, all those sort of things. Like, it's intelligence is almost this ego thing, right? And he's just a hard worker who knows where to spot opportunities, and like that beats an unbelievable degree from an unbelievable university every day, I'd say. So yeah, couldn't agree more. And I'll fire off with the third one, again linking to what you're saying, is just his a bit, and he used the example of the Apple headphones, like when he got sent a bad pair of Apple headphones, and he was like, well, I could either sit there moaning and spend time writing a bad review or a complaint email, or I could turn this into something that could benefit me. And he made a video about it, and it like did really well. And that mindset of not being a victim and not complaining, and actually showing how you can use bad things always to benefit you, and seeing positives in the bad, is, I think, such a growth opportunistic mindset that's going to lead you to so many things that if you'd just written a complaint email, for example, it would be a completely different outcome.
Brilliantly summed up, and I'll try and put it into 3 key takeaways then. The first one being consistency and just doing things every single day until it pays off, which I think he's the epitome of. The second one being that you don't have to be intelligent, you just have to dedicate enough time and be open to it. And then the third one being that don't whinge when something bad happens to you, just reframe it and think, how can this benefit me? Yeah, I think that's everything from him. I know we could have spoken all day. It really was incredible to listen to. And even if I missed my flight this afternoon, it was probably worth it being able to chat to him. Hopefully we'll get the chance to do it another time. But for anyone else interested in more of what he talks about, if you go on Conor Kenny on YouTube, some of his content there is fantastic, whether you're interested in cryptocurrency or not. And also look at Conor Abroad for more particular lifestyle stuff. It's definitely worth a watch. Anything else, Sol?
I hope if you miss your flight, you'll be making a video out of it in the light of Conor's message.
No, I won't be whinging after Conor's message, so thank you, Conor. But no, I look forward to seeing everyone on the next episode, where hopefully we can do an episode just as good as what Conor's just given us there.
Yeah, spot on. Catch you next week.
Nice. See you later.
Good.